The Eternal Museum of Civilizations had never had a problem. Not in 11,000 years. It floated at the edge of the galaxy, far from any sun, silent and perfect in the dark. From the outside it looked like a small silver moon. But inside, behind walls 3 meters thick, 47 creatures lived in careful, clean, comfortable cages, each one the last of its kind, each one preserved like a rare object in a glass case. The curators called it an act of kindness. They said they were saving these creatures, protecting the last voice of each lost world. They never asked the creatures what they thought about it. That had never been a problem. Until now. Chief Curator Vorn stood in the observation room and looked through the thick glass at the newest exhibit. He was tall, gray-skinned, 4 arms folded neatly across his chest. He had the calm, satisfied look of a man who had just done something good, which, in his mind, he had. Behind the glass, the human sat on the floor of her habitat. She was not crying. She was not banging on the walls. She was not curled in the corner, which is what almost every new arrival did in the first hour. She was sitting cross-legged, looking at the ceiling. Her eyes moved slowly from one side to the other, as if she was reading something written up there that only she could see. "Interesting," said Vorn. "She is very calm." Junior Curator Rael stood beside him. Rael was young and thin and wore the permanent expression of someone waiting for bad news. "Too calm," said Rael quietly. "Nonsense," said Vorn. "She is adjusting. They all adjust." Rael said nothing more. He kept watching the human. She was still looking at the ceiling. But her eyes had not stopped moving. She was not admiring the habitat. She was not resting. She was studying the ceiling, the way an engineer studies a structure she is planning to take apart. Her name was Kai. The collection report said she was 34 years old, from a planet called Earth, and worked as a structural engineer before the collection team picked her up from a late-night construction site. The report also noted one small detail that no one had paid much attention to. When the collection team arrived, 4 beings in full suits, inside a ship that should have been completely shocking to her, Kai had looked at them for a moment and said one word. The translator had recorded it as, "Huh." Then she had asked, very calmly, if she could bring her bag. They said no. She nodded, as if that was a perfectly reasonable answer, and walked into the containment pod herself. Vorn had read this and thought it meant she was cooperative and easy to manage. He was wrong about what it meant. On day 2, Kai made tools. The habitat had been designed to contain nothing useful: smooth stones, soft plants, sealed food pouches, everything rounded, soft, or too small to matter. The design team had been very careful. Kai took the drawstring from her sleeping garment. She took 2 smooth stones and the thin wrapping from a food pouch. In 20 minutes, she had built something. The engineering team reviewed the footage and filed a quiet report. It said the device was a basic impact hammer. It would not damage anything. But she was using it to tap on the walls at precise intervals, listening to the echo each time. She was testing the walls for weak points, the same way a structural engineer tests a building before deciding where to put the load. "Give her more things to do," said Vorn when Rael showed him the report. "Books, puzzles, distract her." "We already did," said Rael. "This morning. It took her 40 minutes to finish everything." "Everything?" "All of it." Then she went back to the walls. Vorn was quiet for a moment. "She is just curious," he said finally. "It is normal behavior for an intelligent species." "She has tested every wall panel twice," said Rael. "She has notes, written in the dirt on the floor, diagrams." Vorn looked at the live feed. Kai was crouched near the base of the back wall, pressing her palm flat against the surface. She pressed hard, released, moved 3 centimeters to the left, pressed again. Her expression was focused and completely calm. It was the expression of someone solving a problem at work. On day 5, Rael arrived at the observation room early and found the night shift monitor sitting very still, staring at the feeds. "What is wrong?" said Rael. The monitor pointed at the screen without speaking. On the feed, Kai was standing in front of the observation glass, not the habitat wall, the glass on the curator's side, thick and rated to withstand an explosion. She was standing about 1 meter away from it, eyes closed, completely still. She was humming. One single sustained note, steady and perfectly controlled. "How long has she been doing that?" said Rael. 26 minutes, said the monitor. Rael called the engineering team. They ran a scan of the observation glass. They found a hairline crack, 2 centimeters long, in the lower corner, caused by sustained vibration at a very specific frequency. Rael looked at the footage from the previous 4 nights. Every night, same time, same spot. Kai standing in front of the glass, humming, testing different frequencies, finding the one that matched the natural vibration of the glass. She had found it on night 3. She had been applying it every night since. What Rael found when he checked the camera positions. She had found every single hidden camera in the habitat on day 2. All of them, hidden inside rocks, inside plants, in the ceiling fixtures. The footage showed her locating each one, looking directly into the lens, and then going back to work. She had known they were watching her the entire time. Everything she had done in full view. She wanted them to see it. Vorn called an emergency meeting that evening. All senior staff, every department head. They argued for nearly an hour about what to do. Upgrade the containment. Move her to a different habitat. Sedate her for a medical review. Sedation is a risk, said the science advisor. We do not know enough about human biology. We could hurt her. Then upgrade the containment, said Vorn. She will study the upgrade, said Rael. Whatever we add, she will find a way around it. That is what she does. She studies things until she understands them completely, and then she acts. The room was quiet. Then what do you suggest? Said Vorn. Talk to her, said Rael. I think that is what she wants. She is not trying to escape. She is trying to get our attention. Brass, the head of security, a large, experienced being who had managed the museum's safety for 60 years, had been quiet the whole meeting. Now he spoke. I agree with Rael, he said. Schedule a communications session tomorrow morning, before she does something we cannot reverse. Vorn agreed. He closed the meeting and sent everyone home. The meeting had lasted 49 minutes. Nobody checked the live feed during those 49 minutes. Nobody noticed that the ventilation grill in Habitat 48 had been slowly, carefully, silently worked loose over the past 6 days, a few turns each night. Patient and slow, so the stress sensors would never spike. Nobody noticed, because nobody thought to look. Kai had counted on that. The museum went into full lockdown in under 2 minutes. Red lights, sealed doors, guards at every junction. The security system ran a full scan for any life sign in the building. It found one. Moving through the ventilation system, steadily, calmly, heading upward. Where is she going? Said Vorn over the emergency channel. Brass watched the tracking display in silence for a moment. She is going to the command room, he said. That is the most secure room in the building, said Vorn. I know, said Brass. The command room was on the highest level of the museum. 4 locked doors. 2 security checkpoints. Walls 3 meters thick. The most protected space in the building. It had 1 ventilation grill in the ceiling. No one had ever thought to secure it from the inside, because no one had ever imagined something climbing through the vents to reach it. Every person in the command room heard it at the same moment, a soft sound from above, the sound of metal moving. Every eye went up. The grill cover came loose slowly and landed on the command table with a quiet, precise click. Kai dropped through the opening and landed on her feet. She was dusty from the vents. She had a small scratch on her hand. She looked at the 12 people staring at her, at the guards with weapons raised, and at Vorn standing at the head of the table. Then she set the ventilation grill cover down on the table, very gently, like she was returning something borrowed. "Hello," she said. "I think it is time we talked." Vorn sat down. That surprised everyone in the room. It may have even surprised Kai, but she did not show it. He looked at her across the table and said one word. "Talk." "Thank you," said Kai. She took a breath and began. "I know what this place is. You collect the last survivors of dying species. You keep them alive. You think that is enough." "We are saving them," said Vorn. "My world has 8 billion people in it right now," said Kai. "You took one. Me." She let that sit for a moment. You cannot save a civilization with one person. A civilization is not one voice. It is 8 billion voices, all arguing and laughing and building things and making mistakes together. You took one brick out of a building and called it preservation." End quote. No one spoke. "Your other exhibits," she continued, "are they well?" "They are safe," said Vorn. "Safe is not the same as well," said Kai, "and you know that." Vorn looked at the table. He said nothing. "I have a proposal," said Kai. "You have 11,000 years of data in your servers. Languages, music, art, history. 47 worlds that no longer exist anywhere in the universe. It is all sitting in your files. No one is reading it. No one is learning it. It is preserved the same way the creatures are preserved, technically alive, but not really living." "What do you want?" said Vorn. "Give me access to your communication systems. Let me send that data home to Earth, to people who will learn it and teach it and keep it alive in a way no server ever could." "And in exchange?" said Vorn. "I stay," said Kai simply. "Willingly. I will be your exhibit, and I will teach you more about humanity in 1 year than your collection teams could learn in 100. A long silence filled the room. "You could leave," said Brass quietly. "You have already shown us that. Why would you stay?" Kai looked at him. Her voice was steady and completely honest. "Because you have 47 voices in this building that no one can hear anymore, and I can change that. That is worth more to me than leaving." Vorn made his decision without calling a vote. "Communication access," he said. "Tomorrow morning. Full two-way." Rael nodded and made a note. Kai stood up. She picked up the ventilation grill cover. Then she paused. "One more thing," she said. "What?" said Vorn. "The creatures in Habitat 12. Their food ratio is wrong. Not very wrong, just a little. But it is making them tired. That is why they seem so calm. Fix it." Vorn looked at Rael. "Tonight," said Rael. Kai nodded. She walked to the door. The guard stepped aside. At the threshold, she looked back one last time. "Vorn, you built something incredible here. 11,000 years of memory. 47 worlds. But a museum is not just a place to store things." She paused. "It is a place to help people understand them." She left. The room was very quiet. Then Brass said, slowly, "In 60 years, I have never seen anything come close to getting out of this building." She got out in 6 days, came to the highest room in the museum, and her first request was to send dead languages back to her home world. Nobody had an answer to that. Vorn went back to his office. He opened Kai's file. At the top of the record, in the standard field that appeared on every exhibit across 47 species, was one word: specimen. He deleted it. He typed a new word. He sat back and looked at it for a long time. Then he stood up, closed the file, and walked down to Habitat 12 to check the food levels himself. For the first time in 200 years, he walked the museum floor without a scheduled reason. It would not be the last time. The next morning, the first message Kai sent to Earth was not a cry for help. It was a data package. 47 languages, 47 histories, 47 lost worlds, with a short note at the top. It said, "We are not alone out here. Learn these names. Remember these people. It is the least we can do." Back in her exhibit, where the word on her file now read Curator, Kai sat cross-legged on the floor. She was not looking at the walls anymore. She was reading,